Hey, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday Night Cairo broadcast sponsored by DE and Band of Brothers around the world. Tonight, excited. Our speaker is Katie Gay. And what I love about Katie and her husband, anything we ever ask them to do, the answer is always yes. Yes, yes, yes. They are DE chiropractors through and through. But before we get to Katie, I just wanted a few things to remind you. One, DE is coming up. It's July 16th to the 19th. It's at the Perimeter Hotel there in Atlanta, Georgia. So it's time to get started and book up for that right now because I'm sure it's going to be a packed house. Another thing I've noticed that been seeing on Facebook that our membership, DE membership, is like every week or every month. I can't remember how often they're doing it. They're posting welcome all the new members. So this membership is a cool thing. It's something that Tim Langley came up with, and God rest Tim Langley's soul. But it's awesome. Basically, you can become a DE member. It's 129 dollars a month for a regular DC, and their associates it's only $65 a month. What that gets you is you get to all the DEs for free. It also gets to where you can live stream the DEs if you can't make it live. Which I've had to use the live stream. It's not the same, not the same vibration, but you can get there and listen to it, and you get all the DE recordings back. I do believe it's to 2015 or 2016. I can't remember exactly, but I plug them in and listen to them all the time. When I'm not listening to DE radio, if I'm going to exercise, whatever, I'll just do a talk from saying, like, say, last time, Dr. Amlinger really just struck me in the heart. So I went back and listened to the last few was with Peter. And it's just great. It's just great resource. You can share it with your team, your staff. It's great. It's cheap. It's way better than paying per as you go to each and every seminar. So consider becoming a member. And again, we have the teams or the connect groups. I'm the purple team. Obviously, whatever group you're assigned to be, please reach out, use it, and celebrate your victories. If you have any trouble, struggles, just go on and connect with the purple team and or whatever team that you're a part of, and use it that way. Between this DE, last DE to the next DE, you feel connected. Okay, so again, those are our one things I wanted to make sure we cover before we introduce. Um, from Kittering, Maine. Dr. Katie has a wonderful practice in Kittering. Her husband has a practice in Kennebunkport. I think I said that right. And she was just discussing, she's been in practice for 22 years. She went to Palmer in Iowa. She's been in practice 22 years, but you do the math. She was 9 when she became a DC. So she's only 31 years old, and she looks younger than that. So no further ado, let's give up to Katie. Go ahead, Katie girl.
Thank you, Andy, and thank you for having me tonight. It's always such an honor to get to share. I have been kind of meditating on what I wanted to talk about tonight, and not a lot was really coming through. Usually I have this underlying theme that's running with me for a little while, but a bunch of ideas were kicking around. So I leaned in, as you were just saying, about listening to DE radio. I spent a lot of time listening to DE radio over the last couple of days, yesterday, today, and I was just listening and thinking, what would be valuable for me to share with people, because I get so much from these. I've said before, if you don't know me, I very rarely do these live because I am usually in bed by now, but I will usually do them on a walk the next day or the next couple of days within that week. So I was trying to think, what can I offer? And one thing that I was kicking around in my head was I could talk about how we moved my office this year. And then as I was thinking about that, I went on a walk and I was listening to DE radio, and it was a Michael Halloran call from 2017, I believe. And he was talking about moving his office. So I was thinking, all right, maybe that's where I'll start. We have 2 offices now. We've had the second one. It'll be 11 years this fall. And so I am in my office full time, and then I go back and forth a little bit with my husband. So we have had this office for what finished 10 years in this one space. And long story short, I had this kind of slumlord lady and never really liked her, but there ended up being some issues with the office. So I always wanted to move my office to somewhere else. We were literally like busting out of the seams. I see a lot of kids, a lot of babies, and you can see a lot of people in small square footage. That's not it. It's the way that it was laid out. My reception area was like a tiny square and people were literally busting out. So I had been wanting to move, couldn't find anything. I don't know how the real estate market is everywhere else in the world, but it is madness in Southern Maine. So long story short, I ended up having a pretty substantial black mold issue in my office and had it fixed. But I was like, this is it. I have got to move. I can't do this any longer. And being typical me, like side note, thank God for DE and thank God for this mindset and for me having an amazing chiropractor. I have a husband who believes and lives this way too, because I can really go off the rails kind of fast. So I can decide, while I will say it's God's plan and God's timing, and that I can also be like, no, I'm going to fit this square peg in a round hole regardless. So that's basically what I started doing. I was like, I'm going to move. I'm going to find a space. I found this building on the same street that I was already on. And I convinced myself that this was going to be perfect. Thank you, God. It wasn't, but it was a really cool barn. That could have been cool, but it also had a very, very big property. It had a house on the property. It had a shared driveway with a beat up house. All of the things were not great. But I had convinced myself that this was going to work. And lo and behold, when God did not have them accept my offer for that property, I was really upset. And I was like, I don't really know. Like, this is just stupid. Like, I went into this whole spiral. And as God always has my back, after I came out of my little spiral, about a week or maybe 10 days later, my spiral was so bad that my realtor is one of my neighbors, and we were all sitting on the beach one day. My sister was here, my nieces and my nephews, everybody. And I was waiting to see what that property closed for, like just to see like how far off I was. I was still so hung up on it. And my realtor knew that I was spiraling. So I was like, I don't know, maybe I'll just retire. Like, this is crazy. She was like, all right. This has gone too far. So like 10 days later, I just looked at a random real estate website that I don't usually follow. And I saw this property for sale. And immediately I was like, when this property that I now own was being built, I said to my husband, I said, that is a great property. I want that property. I said, they're building a new commercial bottom with residential upstairs. And I was explaining to him where it was, because it doesn't always come. My office is about an hour from our house, so he doesn't always come down there. I was explaining to him where it was, and I was like, it's really cute. He's like, do you want to go look at it? I said, no, because when I drove through, the only space that I would want was already sold. I said, and I only want this end spot that's filled with glass, tons of light on the corner. I said, and it already has a sold sign. Fast forward. So it was built in 2019. So 2020, the end of 2019. So fast forward, this property came for sale. And I was like, this is the property. This is the property. So we went, we looked at it, we made an offer that day, we got it accepted. And we decided that we were going to move my office. And it is amazing. It's so perfect. But the God's timing part of it is, when they were building it in 2019 or whenever it was, I probably wasn't ready. I probably wasn't there. My office was busy and big. But to be completely honest, I've gotten a little bit lazy over the last few years, because COVID was fantastic for my practice. My practice grew so much, started seeing so many more people, making more money, but I didn't have to do anything. It just fell. It fell right into my lap. Probably from years of sowing seeds, maybe, or maybe just the timing was right, whatever it was, but it just got delivered to me. And so I probably wasn't ready before, but I believe that God saved this spot for me, specifically for me, because now I'm very much ready. So we closed on the property on Halloween, and if you guys don't know my husband, he's great at like being organized. I'm crazy and loud and disorganized, and he's very organized. So we had our closing in the morning, and he had our contractor set to go in that afternoon. So from Halloween, October 31st, we moved in. I practiced till 6 o'clock on the Tuesday night before Thanksgiving. And then we moved through Thanksgiving week, and we opened up the Monday after. And it has been amazing. And with that, I was laughing at last TE, Tim Warner was talking about maybe moving his office and the new energy that comes with it. Because that's exactly what it is. It's like starting a practice all over, except for never having to be at zero again, thankfully, because I don't really want to be at zero again. But I have that new energy of being hungry again and wanting to meet my new neighbors or be out in the community more, or whatever it is, like having a brand new practice. Paula last night at Band of Brothers was saying she has started doing more events in her office, and she was like, I'm trying to do them like you, Katie. I don't do these events for patient acquisition, I will say. I do a lot of events in my office. I have a lot of community events in my office for two real reasons. One is many, many years ago, Michael Halloran said every person in my community should set foot in my office. And I took that and ran with it. And the second is people are starving for connection and community. And I think sometimes we take for granted how great we have it, that we have this DE community. We have a place that we can go 4 times a year to be with people who think like us and believe like us and raise their families like us, or we just like to see, and we just like to get redirected and refired up and re-spizzed up and whatever it is. And people don't have that unless they're in like a fraternity or, maybe like a Kiwanis Club or a Lions Club. I don't really know if they do that. Mary Kay, I don't even know if they still have that, but they will usually have like a once a year gathering. And people are dying to have that connection. And that's really why I hold all of these things. A mom said to me yesterday, she said, oh, Dr. Katie, you have so many events, because in my husband's office, we have a monthly book club. And in my office, we have a weekly Moms on the Move walking club, and a monthly mommy mixer, which is like a mom's night out, and a monthly pregnancy and prenatal group. And then we have all these other little pop-up things. So this one mom was saying, oh, you really have like so many groups and events going. And I said, yeah, I think people really need community. And she said, isn't that the truth? I'm really glad that you do that. I said, well, I have people, so we might as well build the community. And what's really cool about most of my events is most of the people, making sure I'm not lying to you, at least 50% of the people or more are not patients of my practice who come to our events. And the really cool thing about that is my patients teach them. I don't really, like the moms walking group, I walked a mile with them the other day. They went to the playground for 3 hours, and then they came back to my office to use the bathroom and do whatever. And my families got adjusted and the other families left. But my moms talked to them about chiropractic, or talk to them about me, or talk to them about our other events or what goes on in our office. So I get to allow them to teach my community, which for me has been really fun. And it's a fun way for me to do it. And when we're talking about having that DE connection 4 times a year, when Danny sent out a little thing asking like, what have I gotten from DE, or, what can I attribute to DE? I'm sure if she had asked me at any day, it might be a different answer. But the day that she had asked me, I thought the relationships in my life are a direct correlation to DE. And I love that. I'm married to a chiropractor. All of my closest friends are chiropractors. All of my mentors have come out of that room. The people that I've leaned on the most, or the people that I laugh with the most, have all come from there. And that to me is literally priceless. I feel like when I was listening to all the DE radios this morning and hearing people, one of the other ones was Dr. John Boutwell. And I am not an outwardly emotional person, if you know me. But I was driving and it had me kind of tearing up because all I could think was, how blessed was I when I practiced in Connecticut and Judson had started Band of Brothers, and I got the job of coordinating Saturday Night Lives. And so I would get to, pick up the speakers or spend time with the speakers or whatever. And to spend so much time with these people, I remember spending like a day and a half with Dr. Boutwell, and he came in my office and we talked about important things and we talked about not important things. And we talked about chiropractic, and I really got a chance to bond with him. And that is all from DE. Same with RJ Kelly. I got to be very, very close to him in Melba, all because of DE and from being in this room of like-minded people who, kind of like BJ says, you never know how far reaching, but you never know what person is going to impact your life so much at what time. And I think that's the important part about showing up. No offense to any of the DE speakers, are all amazing and that's wonderful, but showing up for the connection and showing up for the love and showing up for the rebonding, that is so, so valuable. If you're, as Sigafush used to say, be in the world but not of the world. But it's easy to become of the world and to get off track and to need that. So I guess that's my plug for going to DE that I didn't know I was going to talk about. But so this year, in having my new energy and being more focused, I've been really not trying. People say you're either doing or trying, but I am trying. I'm trying to really work harder on surrendering and knowing that God always has me. It's always God's timing. Because like I said, I was really trying to squeeze the wrong things into the wrong places to move my office. And I feel like when I am working on that harder and harder and getting clearer and clearer to be more surrendered and really just listening to God, then he always gives me these signs. So this morning was journaling about surrendering, and then I very rarely go on Facebook. I'll usually go on to maybe put something on for our offices, or, although I just changed Instagram for this would be better, or to get Michael Halloran's message. So if I open my Facebook, he's literally the first thing that pops up. And his today was a lesson in surrendering and God's timing. And I was like, yes. It's always these little reminders that keep me grounded in knowing that even days that it doesn't seem like we're maybe getting where we want to be or maybe doing enough, that it's all part of this process and it's always, always, always in God's timing. With that, so I've been being very, very intentional about everything that I'm trying to think or do or manifest, or, the streets that I'm walking on during my lunch break in my office. Stu Bittman had recently said that we see what we're looking for and to keep our attention on our intention. And that really got me because it made sense to me. Like, how often do we set a goal or have a purpose, or have, even our goal for a day, this is how many people I'm going to see today, or this is what's going to look like. And then one thing can happen and we can get totally derailed from that. So I've been really trying to focus on keeping my attention on my intention, which really truly is just to serve more people and to do it the way that we do it. I could not be happier with the way that my practice is. It's like a big, huge living room of moms and babies, and it's just filled with love. It just oozes out love and fun, and that's what I want. I never wanted to have it be worky or feel like I had to go to work. I wanted it to be something that always excited me. And I feel like that's definitely what I've achieved. And that makes me proud. Someone said recently at a seminar that we were at how do you measure success? And I was thinking about it for a while. And at first I was like, I think I measure it with, how many strollers and car seats and babies are there at a time. And that probably is how I quantify success in my head. But then I started thinking, I think I also measure it. If you've ever heard me talk before about my trying to be Paula Hedgelon for a minute story, because I'm not Paula Hedgelon and it didn't go very well. You have to be authentically you. But the hugging. But so I think instead how I'm starting to quantify success is how many like little kid full on innate to innate hugs am I getting a day? That's the best thing. Like today a family left, the mom came with the daughter and the dad came later with the sons. But before the daughter left, she was like halfway out the door and she turned around and came running back and just like latched onto my legs. And I was like, that's how I'm measuring success. Because that's the stuff that excites me. And I'm forever planting in kids seeds that, are you going to be a chiropractor? Maybe you're going to be a chiropractor. Because if you haven't heard my story before, I knew when I was about 5 that I was going to be a chiropractor, even though I had no idea what chiropractic was. So those seeds are so important to be planted. I think, I don't know, hopefully that might be it. I don't know. I think that's it. I think that's all that's coming through to me. I hope that something's valuable to someone. I hope that I keep seeing you all at TE. I hope that you remember in the days that maybe aren't your favorite days that God has a plan and just let it ride out. And on the days that are going great and are your favorite days, that's also God just saying like, good job, stick with me, I got you. And we can do big things. And I love and appreciate you all.
Your great days and your struggling days is all God. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, one, you said, how do you measure your success? Innate to innate hugs with little kids. Love that. That's awesome. And everybody needs a sense of community. It needs to feel connected. And again, chiropractic is about connection, man. Physical, man, is about spiritual. But you're just saying about just being connected. Period. Love that. Love that. Let me ask you. You know, what would one thing you do a lot of outreach things? What would you say if there's somebody's out there that's wanting to see more kids or to be more prenatal children type practice? What's one event you would suggest everybody like a go-to that, okay, you need to do this? It's one thing that you've done that would help. I know I'm throwing you under the bus a little bit, but tell me one major one.
I think to see more kids for me, I think I created it in my head first. So I guess if I wanted to start again seeing more kids, I'd probably do it the same. I would do events that draw kids. Like last weekend, we had a baby booty workout in my office. And so that's basically where you wear babies. And 2 of the people were patients of mine. Everybody else was not. And it was babies from 8 weeks old. It could go to 4, but most of them were just about 1.5 years and younger. So it's all new moms coming into my space, reading my walls. And then obviously at the end, I tell them what we do and we'd love to be your family's chiropractor and all of that. But I would just make opportunities to literally, as Sigafus would say, see more kids and then teach them.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Katie. Again, you and Pete have been always, anytime I ask you to do anything, the answer is always yes. I appreciate it because if it's ICA, if it's whatever, you guys are there to stand for chiropractic and stand strong for chiropractic. So know that DE loves you both. And thank you for sharing tonight. Appreciate you.
My pleasure.
Love you.
Love
Everybody,
you.
see you next week. Thank you.